Everybody, it's Robin. Thanks so much for joining me. This is my first layout as a guest designer for Tupelo Designs. I really wanted to accent and use these gorgeous gray 2mm sequins and beads that I got from the store. And there they are right there. They're so pretty. I love them so much. I'm also going to use a few other products from the store, and the rest is from my stash. So everything I'm using that's shown in this video will be listed below. I was using this black and white picture of my daughter and her boyfriend at a formal they were at, and they were kind of goofing around and having a friend take some pictures, and they thought that they would act tough and cool and put on these sunglasses and looking kind of rough. So I thought it was a cute picture, and I wanted to use that. So I was initially going to stick with darker colors, grays, beiges, things like that. But I ended up throwing in some pink, and it's all fine and good. Carl doesn't mind. And it's for my scrapbook anyway. So I pull out some Distress inks from Ranger, and they are wonderful. They can be used as stamping, for stamps. I'm going to use them kind of like a watercolor effect, and for the background, and it turns out super cute. I love it so much. So now I'm just taking some scrap pieces of paper and trying to decide if I wanted them all the same size as my picture, or if I wanted something different. Initially I thought I would use them all the same, like I think that's 4x4. I left a little bit of a border around the picture, and then I end up cutting all of the rest of them to match the picture. But I do mat the picture on just a little bit of black, or with a little bit of black showing around the edges to really make it pop, because it is the focus of my layout. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with the beads and the sequins as I was making the video. And you'll see what happens with that. So Rachel and Shelby, my oldest girls, they love to take pictures and of their friends and of themselves and things that they do, and but they never forward them to me. And it gets kind of frustrating sometimes, but then they're like, "Mom, can I have this page you made?" I'm like, "Okay, hold on. I have to go and find pictures from your guys' internet, from like your Instagram or something. But then once I make a page, you want it." So I'm like, if you want a page done of something, send me the pictures and I'll make them, not a problem. But Rachel is home for spring break. She just came in today. So I'm very excited to spend some time with her. I was initially going to use the opposite side of this square. It was kind of a newspaper looking. It had kind of a beige cream background, which matched the tones in the picture. But then I had an idea for what I wanted to do with the sequins. So I flipped it over, and I'm using the back side. And I do this a lot. I outline papers that I'm using with a very thin marker tip, either like a 0.01 or a extra fine medium tip. And I had this Project Life, or was that from a cut apart? It's something I left over in my stash, the You and Me, and I thought that was really pretty, because the piece of paper I'm using underneath their picture is a dark gray background, almost black, but it has pink arrows and hearts, and it's really cute. So those two pinks matched, and then the and sign is gold. It's kind of hard to tell here, so I will be bringing in a couple accents, I think, with some gold splatters at the end. I'm just going to use it's called a gel matte medium, and it's made by Ink Essentials. It kind of acts like a glue, and then it dries clear. Not sure what else. I mean, I know that you can do a lot with it, but I'm just using it here as kind of a glue for my decorations. I'm going to use the beads, and then I brought out some of the, I didn't want the sequins all by themselves initially, but then I decided to throw in, I have these iridescent, like just little circles, and they're very thin and flat. There's no dimension to them whatsoever, kind of like confetti. And then the pink, and it's really hard to explain what the pink is. It's not a sequin. It's just tiny, thin little like shredded strips. I'm not even sure where I got them from, but they're really pretty. And I have the gray, the white, which is iridescent, and it kind of picks up whatever colors are around it, and then the pink. So I'm pulling all of these colors together down here, and that's going to be my fourth little grid design square. So I'm just going to set this aside and let it dry. What I wish I would have done, if you guys do this, is kind of take your fingers and press it down in. I thought it just lying on the surface would be good, and it is, and it stayed fine, but there was a few pieces that kind of came off when I lifted it up. So I would just take your fingers or something and just lightly press down to make sure that it's good in that medium. What am I doing here? I'm kind of debating. I added a tiny black paper clip up there, and now I'm kind of deciding, do I want to leave the background white? But I take out I believe I used Victorian velvet. It's a really pretty kind of antique pink, and it matches the pinks that I'm using in here really well. They sell these in the shop as well. And can I tell you, this little canister is the best thing ever. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I want to say like 12 fit in a container. And they're just a few dollars, and it's so nice when you're going to, well, it's nice to keep them together in your room so you don't lose any. And then when you're going to crops or something, you just pick up the whole tin. I mean, it's really awesome. I'm just taking the ink pad, and I'm rubbing it down onto a stamping block. Instead of putting a stamp on it, I'm just kind of using it as a surface. And then I just have a water brush that I'm mixing with it. And I initially was just going to go around the top of the picture, but I ended up deciding to go in a diagonal. So I go from the top left to the bottom right with it, and it turned out really, really pretty. It's very subtle, but it adds to it so much. I did not put, I didn't prep the surface with gesso or anything. I thought, like I said, I was just going to kind of go around the top of the picture, but I ended up liking the way it looks. So it took a little bit more time. I think it would have been a smoother process if I would have used the gesso first to prepare, but it turned out just fine. So if you don't have any, please don't worry. It'll work out just fine. So I wanted to add to the title a little bit. So it says You and Me XOXO, and because I needed to bring in some more gold elements because of that plus sign. I thought it turned out really cute. She's going to see it. She's going to want to take it with her. I know it. And in my box, when I got my items from the store, they sent me, you'll see in the video, they sent me their business card, and it has the picture of their puppy dog and who's the company's named after, and then they sent me some buttons. So I'm utilizing some of these buttons along with my flare, and it was perfect. I got gray and pink, and they couldn't have looked better. I'm so glad I used them. I told you I'd use them. I love buttons. I used to utilize buttons all the time, like years ago. They were on almost every layout I made, and I just kind of got away from them. And I'm sitting here thinking, I love the circle element. It kind of pulls in with the O's and the XOs. And here, instead of adding another button, I decide to use that stamp set from the shop, and it's called, or the stamp I'm using says Live It Up. So I thought that was very appropriate because they're at a party and they're just having a really, really good time. They love to dance. They love to go out and have some fun, but they're both pretty tough majors. Rachel's bioinformatics and Carl's electrical engineering. So these days like this are very few and far in between, as you can imagine. So I'm deciding to add some more of the gray metallic sequins, because I wanted to bring them out just not only from that last grid, but bring them out and around the other embellishment clusters, and it looked so cute. And then I brought out some of the iridescent ones and added a couple around there. And then just to pull in some more gold in some areas, I'm using some Gold Lame Heidi Swap mist. And you can use Lindy Stamp Gang, you can use Inkadoo, you can use whatever you have. Hers is the only one I have in gold. And then to tie everything together, I'm doing these lines around the top of the page as well. So I think doing it around the other three squares in the design and then around this layout helps pull together because I mounted the main picture on black. So I think it just marries it all together. And it's a very simple layout. It did not take me much time at all, maybe like 35 minutes. And for me, guys, that's nothing because I'm a slow scrapbooker. I like to think and do and try things out. And but this one just kind of fell together and made itself. So again, thank you so much, Jane and Mike and Dan, for allowing me to design for you for a couple of months. I'm very appreciative, and I hope you like what I came up with. Again, thank you so much for stopping in. Enjoy the close-ups, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.